In Westchester, weekday mornings from 6 to 9, right here on 1460 WVOX.
1460 WVOX.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to the Sons of the American Legion Radio Report on WVOX AM 1460 and heard around the world on WVOX.com. This is Jack McGuirk and Ken Kreitzer bringing you this half-hour discussion of issues related to veterans and the active military. Now, here's Ken.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Listening to the Sons of the American Legion Radio here on WVOX 1460 AM. It is an absolutely gorgeous day today after a very hot Saturday. We were up at the West Point graduation. I think it was a 10 o'clock start. I'd say about 11 o'clock. It was over 90 degrees on the football playing surface, which is field turf. Makes it all about 7 or 8 degrees warmer, I would say. But great day there for the graduates. 1,014 graduated, including members of several allied countries' military who attended. We saw there were 2 from Poland, 1 from South Korea that I saw. A few others, and they raised their right hand to take the oath. At least the West Point cadets did, and going to the U.S. Army and received their diplomas. Heard a very interesting talk from General Milley. He talked about how technology is really taking over, how different the next 25 years would be from the prior 25 years, and about the oath that the cadets would take that day and did raise their right hand for is an oath to the idea of America. And then he concluded by saying that there are dangerous roads ahead. So it was a speech where General Milley really said that the military would be counting on leaders like those who graduated from West Point on Saturday. Afterwards, we got a chance to visit and watch the commissioning ceremonies. They call it the pinning ceremony, where the parents place the bar signifying that they become second lieutenants on their shoulders. Great moment. We saw 16 of the former Army football players commissioned in the weight room at West Point. So we're going to have a little bit of General Milley's speech. Also, the award that we gave on Thursday to 2 Army football players, Jabari Laws and A.J. Howard, in honor of 2 veterans from Pelham, Eli Page Howard and Eugene Evans, 2 outstanding athletes, both died in service to our country in the U.S. Army. And Jack, you got a lot of things for us.
Yeah, I'll start off with what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. Russia claims the last Ukrainian fighters have surrendered the besieged Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. We talked about a lot of people were sheltered there. Russia has halted natural gas exports to Finland on Saturday. This was as a result of a response to Finland wanting to join NATO. Also, Turkish President Erdogan had talks with Sweden's Prime Minister and Finland's President about possibly joining NATO. Russian forces have destroyed a Pavlograd bridge near Severodonetsk and Lysychansk in the Luhansk regions, says Ukrainian head of the regional military administration. Lithuania will have completely cut imports of Russian energy supplies, including oil, electricity, and natural gas, from Sunday. Also, more than 1,000 apartments and 11 educational institutions have been damaged in a Russian missile strike on Lazova in the Kharkiv region, according to the mayor of that town. Also, Ukrainian's Air Command Center said Russian forces fired missiles at infrastructure facilities in the Zhytomyr region on Sunday. That region was attacked from the southeastern direction by naval-based cruise missiles, according to the Ukrainian Air Command Center. The center adds 4 Russian cruise missiles were destroyed by the center's air defense units. 3 missiles were destroyed by aircraft, and 1 by anti-aircraft missile unit of the Ukrainian Air Force, they added. So Russia continuing to fire cruise missiles from their ships in the Black Sea, but their Ukrainian air defense was able to stop a few of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a test of technology now, as General Milley said on Saturday at West Point. The weaponry of the Russians, the naval Tomahawk cruise missile types, and the defenses of the Ukrainians, and then the offensive capabilities of the Ukrainians. Long-range precision fires the long-range artillery, as our guest last week, General Thompson, talked about. More and more impact is going to be not so much hand-to-hand combat or in person, but it's going to be longer range. And it's, question of who's got the better technology. So far, right now, I would say the Ukrainians may have it, especially with what the weaponry they're receiving from the NATO allies.
Indeed. Speaking of that, the U.S. is working on a plan to destroy the Black Sea Fleet. This is according to the Ukrainian Ministry of Internal Affairs advisor Anton Gerashenko, who said the effective work of Ukrainians on warships convinced the U.S. to prepare a plan to unblock the ports, saying deliveries of powerful anti-ship weapons, Harpoon and naval strike missile with a range of 250 to 300 kilometers are being discussed. This is Gerashenko's quote there, which is actually, he wrote that in Russian, followed a report from Reuters saying the White House is in the process of putting more advanced missiles in the hands of Ukrainians to defeat the Russian naval blockade. For the past 2 months, Ukraine has been unable to ship out grain and other agricultural products because of that blockade, raising the specter of catastrophic food shortages around the world, and especially in developing countries in Africa and Asia. But Kiev has repeatedly said they want missiles so they could push enemy ships away from the Black Sea ports. About 20 Russian Navy vessels, including submarines, are in the Black Sea, according to the British Defense Ministry. But this is a really, when I saw the story, it kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous situation because it would be another expansion beyond just the internally in Ukraine. Now you're talking getting out into the Black Sea. Obviously, the Allies and the world wants to get the exports of Ukraine grain that is able to be manufactured and has been stored already out going to the markets that desperately need that agricultural output. But you're talking submarines, you're talking all the surface ships, and for the Russians to back off from that blockade would be a big deal.
Yes, keep an eye on that story. The first overseas deployment of the Vermont Air National Guard's F-35 fighter jets will have pilots in their aircraft patrolling the skies of Europe during this period now. More than 200 Vermont Air National Guard personnel, their equipment, and 8 F-35s are now in Europe, where the pilots will fly what are called enhanced air policing missions along NATO's eastern flank to monitor the area for intrusions by Russian aircraft. The deployment marks the first time the Vermont Air National Guard, the first Guard unit in the country to fly the F-35s, has deployed overseas with the Air Force's newest airplane. This deployment comes only months after Vermont Guard had completed its conversion from the F-16 fighter planes used to fly the F-35s, which began arriving in Vermont in September 2019. NATO says the enhanced air policing missions in part of a broader series of measures introduced after Russia's 2014 annexation of the Crimean Peninsula. But it involves a continuous presence of fighter aircraft and crews who are ready to react to possible airspace violations. In fact, on April 29th, NATO reported jets scrambled in the preceding days to track and intercept Russian aircraft in the Baltic and Black Sea regions. The aircraft, which often do not transmit a radio code indicating their position and altitude, did not file flight plans, nor did they communicate with air traffic controllers, NATO says. But the alliance said that the Russian aircraft never entered NATO airspace and that the interception were conducted in a safe and routine manner. So the Vermont Air National Guard getting involved over there in Europe.
That's interesting that they were able to obtain F-35s, the most advanced U.S. fighter plane, which to this point had been basically flown by the regular Air Force. So it's interesting that Vermont's National Guard was able to obtain those planes.
Indeed. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because Fleet Week is upon us here in New York. And a number of ships are going to be coming into New York City for Fleet Week, including the amphibious assault ship USS Baton coming from Norfolk, Virginia. That's going to be in Manhattan, Pier 88 South. Right next to it, Pier 90 North, is going to be the HMS Protector, which is a British naval ship. Also, 4 U.S. Naval Academy YPs from Annapolis, Maryland, will be at the Intrepid Air and Space Museum on the west side. Over on Staten Island, the Homeport Pier, you'll have the Freedom-class patrol combat ship USS Milwaukee from Mayport, Florida.
Where is that going to be, Jack?
That's going to be on Staten Island, Homeport Pier. United States Coast Guard medium endurance cutter Dependable from Virginia Beach, Virginia, as well as the Coast Guard seagoing buoy tender Sycamore from Newport, Rhode Island, both going to be over on Staten Island. And the Arleigh-Burke-class destroyer USS Thomas Hudner will be in Brooklyn. But I heard you're going to be coming up on the USS Baton, Ken.
Yeah, I've got a special opportunity from the Navy to tomorrow take a helicopter ride out to the USS Bataan. It'll be about 100 miles or less, maybe south of New York Harbor, where we'll position to enter New York Harbor on Wednesday morning about 8 o'clock. So then the flight deck will have a report into Dennis and Tawny show.
And national news. Here is the latest update from Fox News Radio on 1460
Fox News, I'm Rich Dennison. China condemning President Biden's comments today that the U.S. could get involved militarily to defend Taiwan against a Chinese invasion.
The decades-old Taiwan Relations Act.
Okay, I got this.